We've had this thing for 2 years and have had zero problems until today. Let's get started. So you guys have seen this thing in the past. Literally 2 years ago I got this thing. I traded an old Oldsmobile for it and it had a locked up engine. We ended up finding out that there was an industrial staple in the oil pump. And that's what caused the engine to starve and lock up. I don't know why the staple was there. No, it wasn't staged. Some people think we staged it. The link's in the description. You can go check it out. But we got it fixed with bearings, main and rod bearings from Australia. That's the only place in the world we could find parts for this engine. It was really crazy. You should go check it out. We're going to go drive this thing and show you guys how we really haven't had any major troubles, but recently I've been noticing some things that are wrong with it. Let's go together and go see what's going on with this thing. So here we are in the Juke. We're going to start this up and take it on a little cruise. I want to go over some railroad tracks and actually show you guys what I'm talking about. As far as AC and heater and driving and everything, CVT transmission, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it's been doing really great. So let's head on out to the streets. So we've been using this thing for kind of a bad weather car, and I've actually held on it for 2 years, which is pretty amazing. I usually don't keep a car that long. But many people have probably heard in the background when we've been filming, you hear trains, like the sound of their horns going. And Newton is a big train town. We'll go over here in a little bit and we'll show you a main tracks set that goes through town. There's a lot of them. It's a big set of probably like 5 or 6 of them. So running and driving, it does okay. It steers straight and does okay. I noticed a little harsh on the bumps, but wait till we get to the railroad tracks. It's pretty bad. All right, here we go. You can see we're getting to the railroad crossing. There's like 5 sets in a row, and I'm not even going to slow down. I want to show you guys what it does here. Oh, God. Oh, man. I felt that one in the family jewels, Mrs. Wizard.
I'm sorry, dear.
That was rough. And it didn't used to be so bad, but lately in the last few months, it's like there's no suspension. It's like a steel rod is welded to somewhere. We'll have to check it out. But anyways, let's get back to the shop and check this thing out. Something is not right. So like I've mentioned in the past, one of the policies of the shop that is non-negotiable with customers is when we come into the shop with your car, the first thing that happens is the driver's window goes down, and we don't care if you like it or not. It's for safety, so we don't lock your keys in the car. So let's head on over to the lift. That was a very rough ride. I felt it in somewhere I shouldn't be feeling it. A car should not do that to you. It was very rough. Let's get this thing in the air and see what's going on. We didn't go all the way up with the lift because I want to be able to look eye level into all the areas where shocks and struts are. I'm kind of suspicious that might be what's going on here. It's causing such a rough ride. So let's go ahead and take a look at all four. Start with the front driver's strut. And already I can see bad news. Look at the oil coming out, guys. Let's move the boot up and see. Oh yeah, the rod's got oil all over it and it's just coming out of the top. So we definitely know the driver's front is blown. It's literally leaking oil out of it. Let's head on over to the passenger side front. This strut here, I don't see anything leaking out. It appears to be okay, but there's a couple of ways these can fail. They can either start leaking and lose all their fluid and start falling apart really bad that way and either get stiff or too soft, or they can just start failing the bushings inside of it where it doesn't want to collapse and it gives a really rough ride that way. I'm going to raise this up a little bit more so we can see the rear one's easier, and let's take a look back there. So in the rear we do not have struts, we just have shocks, which means it doesn't have a coil spring included with it, it's just the shock only. Let's check the passenger rear. And that one has definitely shown that it is leaking all over the place. It is definitely bad. Look at that, guys. This one's the worst offender. The front left has just started to leak, but this one's been leaking for a while. That one is shot. Let's go ahead and check the other side. That one doesn't appear to be leaking, but it still could be failed and being very stiff to move. But I definitely see what's going on here. Based on what I see already with fluid coming out of 2 of them, I really don't even need to go any further. I want all 4 replaced, and that will increase the ride comfort and everything. They obviously aren't doing their job. They've failed. So it appears that both the front and rear struts and shocks need to be replaced. I'm actually not surprised about the rear passenger side, but by the way it felt going down the road, I can see why the others need to be replaced as well. Luckily, AutoZone has supplied me with loaded struts and also shocks. They're specifically made for the Juke. These Duralast struts will perform as good or better than the original ones and will bring this Juke back to the smooth ride that it really deserves. You can see how this new Duralast shock actually matches the old one pretty much identically, obviously without the oil all over it. It's a very simple job. It's just in and out. You take the wheel off, the shock is right there, and it's just a couple of bolts. It's very easy to swap out. Up here at the front, the Duralast loaded struts are so much easier and safer to install than just a bare strut. Here's our spring compressor that we would use on a bare strut to pull the spring off. But if I can get a pre-assembled loaded strut, it's worth it. By the time we assemble the spring and unloaded strut, we're at the cost of just buying a loaded strut. Why would I want to use the old spring on a new strut? Plus, the safety of my guys is far more important than trying to save just a few pennies by letting them use this machine here. You can see here after you get the wheel off, it's just a few bolts and the strut will come out, and the new Duralast loaded strut just slides right in. Thanks AutoZone for these new Duralast struts and rear shocks. They will bring this little Juke back to the way it was from the factory. Being that this is our bad weather car, I have to know that it's safe whether me or Mrs. Wizard's driving it. Now let's get back to checking over the rest of this Juke. So being this has been in the shop or being used for 2 years, it's an old car, but it does only have 90,000 miles on it. We have definitely done a CVT service on it already. But I'm totally anticipating there's going to be more leaks and more problems. It's a Nissan. Come on, it can't be that good, can it? Let's find out. A radiator up in there, everything's nice and dry. There's a little bit of seepage on the charge air cooler hose, which is not really that big of a deal. It might be just the clamp needs to be tightened or something, or the oil vapors could be actually soaking through the plastic, but it's really nothing to be concerned with at this point. It holds boost and does well. The bearings we had to replace were actually underneath this oil pan, upper and lower here. We had to take the crank out and do a whole lot of work and take care of it. And again, you can check that out on the previous videos. But right here is the CVT transmission. And like I've mentioned many times in the past, they can be made to last a long time. They just frequently get neglected and completely ignored and driven into the ground. It's usually the death of the CVT transmission. When I purchased this and went through and fixed everything, we got it on the road, the first thing I did was service the CVT transmission. We've only put about 10,000 miles on it, but every 50,000 miles you should be draining all the fluid out, changing the filter and putting fresh fluid in, not going 60, 80, 90, or 100, every 50,000 miles religiously. And that will definitely help to make these things last a long time. Let's check our brakes real quick. Brake pads are like 80%. Nothing loose there. CV boot is good. Sway bar link is good. Everything's good there. Obviously we're getting new struts. I'm not seeing any leaks, guys. Here's our little, kind of like a little transfer case thing. It goes 2 to the front, and as you can see up there, it has a shaft going to the rear, being it's all-wheel drive. Brakes are good. Nothing loose there. Boots are good. Sway bar link is good. So all over the engine, radiator, everything, no major leaks going on. I'm very pleased to see that. Let's check our shaft. Everything feels good there. Our cat is still in place. It's not been hacked off by tweakers, which is really nice. Thanks for not doing that. Here's our resonator. Again, the shaft is good. Here's our rear differential. No leaks. I'm really excited about that. That is so cool. No leaks. Check our rear brakes. About 90% remaining. I think we put new pads and stuff on here a while back. CV boots are good. Nothing loose there. CV boots are good there. Sway bar link is good. And obviously our struts and shocks are blown. So that is definitely getting taken care of. Brakes are good. Nothing loose there. The tires are a little old on this thing, but they still have very thick tread on them. I'm just going to run it because we just use it pretty much in bad weather or if we need to haul something. It's pretty much the only time it gets used, but it has been a trooper. Other than these shocks blowing out on us, it has given us zero trouble, not even a check engine light, nothing. So let's get this thing down on the ground. Well, as best as it can be with the wheels off. So yes, this is a strange looking little car, but it does the job very well. It was definitely, I got my money, more than my money out of it so far. But there's even more strangeness under the hood, and it explains why it was so difficult to get this engine fixed. So here you are under the hood. I think I call it an MR16 DDT, something like that. It's a 1.6 liter turbo. It's actually kind of spunky. It's got good power. But this is not a Nissan engine. This is French. It's made by Renault. Or as some Americans call it, Renault. It's actually pronounced Renault. These things have like over 200 horsepower, 220 or something like that. It's really pretty good for a little 1.6 liter. But as you can see, there's tons of pipes and hoses and stuff all over the top. And parts are pretty much non-existent in the American market. We called actually the Nissan dealer, trying to locate main and rod bearings. You would think it's a Nissan, you call the Nissan dealer, it's a 2012, it's not old, really comparatively old. They should have those parts, right? They said they did. They sent us 2 or 3 times, they sent bearings. They weren't even right. I don't even know what they went to. I think they went to a Nissan Versa or something. It was not for this 1.6 liter Renault. They're completely the wrong parts. Finally, I called these dealerships back and they did some digging and they were like, we don't stock parts for that engine. It's a Renault engine and they don't make those anymore, those Jukes, so you're out of luck. There are none in North America. So I had to do some digging and digging. I tried this, I tried that, and I just kept coming up either with the wrong bearings off of eBay, wrong bearings off of Amazon. Everywhere I kept getting the wrong stuff. I was like, why can you not get parts for this engine? They made thousands of these Jukes. But I got lucky. A commenter in one of the videos from Australia said, hey, get a hold of me, contact me, I can help you out here. He actually went to a dealer in Australia and they said, we don't have these and we never will again. He said, I got one more place to check. He went to an Australian race shop where they take some of these engines and hop them up like the Nismo and things like that. They said, yeah, we got some race ones. They're like black coated, nitride coated or something, special bearings. That's pretty much all you're going to find anymore. That's all that's left. We got them if you want them. And I don't remember what they were, but it was something ungodly expensive. And I said, well, I don't care. Just send them. I got to get this engine fixed. We got it all back together. Danielson actually did the work. 0 oil pressure problems. It's been running flawlessly, no noises, full power. Very, very happy with Australian bearings. So yes, it looks like a frog. It looks really weird, but I don't care. It's been reliable as I could ever expect it to be. When the bad weather comes, I don't have to worry about getting it dirty or scratching it. It just works. It's got great all-wheel drive, good power, 30 plus miles per gallon on the highway for an all-wheel drive. It really does the job and it serves a purpose. I probably won't ever get rid of this for a long time because I just really don't even want to search for something I don't drive every day. This just sits on the side of the building and it's just there whenever we need it. Sometimes the kids' cars have issues. We say, hey, take the Juke, bring us your car, and they have a car to drive while we work on their car. It just serves such a good purpose and has given us 0 trouble. We also use it if we go flights somewhere. We take it to the airport. We can drop it off at the airport in the parking area and not worry about it getting scratched or dinged or stolen. I really wouldn't even care if it got scratched. It has done its job excessively well. So we'll get these shocks and struts replaced with the Duralast ones we just got. Thanks again to AutoZone. If you're curious about the previous videos on this, those are in the description below. Also, check out Mrs. Wizard's Ways. She's got really good videos out. You want to go check out her channel. There's a link down there as well. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here because we have tons of videos to come. A full month of cars coming in. Thanks for watching.